Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in with me for another conversation on the journey. And, I'd like to thank you, travelers, for really chiming in and viewing some of our previous videos. I really appreciate that. And definitely, we need you to subscribe and hit that notification button because we're going to be coming at you with much more great info because that's what it's all about here on the journey. So, you travelers, stay tuned, stay plugged in to some of the upcoming conversations I'm going to have with some of our great scholars from around the country. Today, it's a great show. We're going to, and a great conversation. It's not a show, but more of a conversation with one of my good brothers. I call him one of our dynamic trios that used to come in Cleveland and visit us here and treating a lot of the brothers and sisters here in Cleveland and myself as well, and that, at that time I got a chance to meet the good brother. If you've seen one of my previous conversations with Dr. Brown, he was, a part of that trio with Life RX here in Cleveland. And so at that time, that's when I got a chance to meet the good brother, and we've been friends and talking ever since. He occasionally always send me a good message or two, or some good information that I can chew on a little bit and really expound on my knowledge base. So let me tell you a little bit about the good brother that we're going to be having a good conversation with today. His name is Dumisani Kambi Shamba. He's a licensed acupuncturist. He's a master of Oriental East Asian traditional medicine. He's a clinical nutritionist. He's practiced homeopathic medicine and traditions. He has a BA in African American Studies and political science. He has over 40 years experience in the field of medicine. For 20 years, he's been a member of the Asceta Society, and they're obtaining a Carrier priesthood. And he's also a Shechem role, which is a role of leadership, and served as Hek Shamshu Haru for several years. With his family's connection, for over 5 years, he's been a supporter of the ANC African Nation Congress in South Africa during that very crucial, important time of apartheid. He's worked with African traditional healer Nyanga Nkombo, which in Eswatini, which they changed the name was Switzerland. Is that right, Brother Dumasani? Yeah. So, and he's also a Vietnam veteran as well. So he's a good brother, wealth of information, and it's a pleasure for me to be talking to him this evening and him spending out the time with us. Welcome, my good brother.
Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for allowing me to come and grace your presence on your show. It's always a pleasure.
Hey, you know what? We're going to start this off about that whole priesthood piece with the
Okay.
shucking role and that leadership. What was that
Okay.
all about?
Well, I'm no longer associated with directly with the Sarset Society. Um,
Hmm.
I left there almost 15 years ago. I've been away from there. But,
Hmm.
you know, I must say, it made a huge impression on my life. And the leader, the Ra'u Nefer Amen the First, I give him all praise. The brother is bad.
Hmm.
He is bad. So I I don't take. There's nothing you can take from the brother. He's been a leader, uh, a healer. I mean, the brother is just he's superb. And but you know, as things go, I met him back in 1977 in Atlanta when I had a vegan raw food restaurant. And we used to bring him down. We had a collective then. We used to bring him down. He was called Brother Rod at the time. And he used to come down. We bring him down and he would lecture. He opened me up to quite a bit of things that I was completely unaware of. And, um, and subsequently, I went to South Africa in 1980, my wife and, I. And we stayed over there 5 years. And when we got back, he had put together this organization called the Somerset Society. And when I came back, I wanted to be involved in it, so I got involved in it. It's a beautiful thing. I tell anyone that if you want knowledge and spirituality, go there.
Mm-hmm.
The brother,
Yeah.
he has it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll put a plug in for him, even though I'm
Yeah.
no longer a member. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't, the thing about people is that, things evolve, you know, and when I was working in Southern Africa with the traditional healer, his name is Nyanga, means moon. All right, that's another name for moon. But the idea was that was the name for the doctors, the traditional healers. They were all called Nyanga, and his name is Nrobo, right? And that's how you say it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
he was actually Zulu, and Swazis and the Zulu are the same people, just different kings, but they're the same people. And so he was the king's traditional reader, and he had a status. His house and his compound was the status of just like going on to the royal family compound in Swaziland. Swaziland has a kingship, which is very ancient and very old, and it was a very interesting, turn of events to visit that country and learn all about what I call African aristocracy. I had no idea of how Africans really organized because, growing up in the West, they talk about nation states, political office, all these kind of things, but really you have no idea. So I was completely surprised about the organization and the structure of society and how it's working. So I had to just stand on the side for a couple of years and just watch. And I had a ringside seat because I was working in the news media at the time. So I got a chance to visit and see, all the dignitaries, the
Is that where that political background came in and
yeah,
helped?
well, I came in through journalism. So
Mm-hmm.
I really got involved and saw it from the ground up
Mm-hmm.
and learned to speak the language, which was a blessing. I would say to any a black person, any African, let me just say it that way, any African in the Western world should take time out to learn an African language.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shame that in our school systems, we have so many different languages offered in the school system, but we don't have not one African language offered in school systems. And and when they do, they act as if Africa is a country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Africa is a continent. So and just for example, in um, Ethiopia, you have over 65 different ethnicities with their own language.
Wow.
So that is a huge diverse. And Africa actually is the most diverse, DNA wise. It's the most diverse place on Earth, and this is where mankind developed, and they stayed there for thousands and thousands of years, and they mixed up and matched up and moved around, and I mean it's extremely diverse. So there's a lot of languages in Africa, and there are major languages, but there are a lot of languages in Africa, and unfortunately, we pay our school taxes, and we have no representation in African languages in this country. And most people are led to believe that these languages are, not important. But how important is learning Italian? How important is learning German? How important is learning French? How important is learning Russian? They offer these things in the school system. Japanese, Chinese, Hindi. They offer all these languages in the school systems. But when it comes to the African continent and the descendants of Africans, there's a complete disconnect. So we have no idea about the culture or what's going on. You learn the culture when you learn a language. You learn the pathos of a people when you learn their language. So that's something that is sorely missing here. And then I have a few whenever I meet someone in education, I always point out that, it's unfortunate that we have all these people here of African descent, and we have no languages taught in the school system. I mean, it's completely disrespectful. But we've been, we understand that the process of colonialization and dehumanizing us meant that anything that we own or culture or anything was subpar, so not to be used or acquired or quest for. And so, yeah, I mean, that's a natural outcome of the situation that the African people experience in the West.
Absolutely. Well
Yeah.
said.
So yes. So the point of it is that I was talking about um, back in the day when I met the brother Ra. When I came back, he had put together a kingship and a priesthood, and I was really absolutely surprised,
Mm.
and followed the African model to a T, and it got a lot. It's very controversial. I mean, among the Africans here, uh, we uh, keep trying to get some degree of freedom, as we call it, by using the same tools that enslaved us. Right.
Say that again,
So,
brother.
so
That's that's something.
no, I'm not. Look. I mean, the philosophical basis of slavery was Christianity. Okay. This was how it was, um, used to soften the sting of slavery to the people who were involved in the slave trade, and also to the Africans who were being sold as chattel slavery. They were told that they were um, heathens, and that we are going to save you by offering you a philosophy that will uplift you. And the ones who were doing the enslavement, their idea was that they were, and it's listed, it's written in the Bible that these are the children of Ham, and that these people were supposed to be enslaved according to the Bible. And this is, part of the philosophical underpinning of what keeps us in the state that we're in, because uh, we've been here 400 years, and we've been using the same book and the same philosophy, trying to get the shackles off our minds, our bodies, and souls. And, we don't have success. We haven't had success. And unfortunately, I hope at some point in time, we will look beyond what they call the Abrahamic religions and look at the other religions that exist around the world. I would prefer if people would just decide to take a look at what religions offer people. So you can go to India, you can go to China, you can go to the East, you can go to the so-called Middle East. I mean, besides the Abrahamic religions, there are a lot of other philosophical uh, um, religions and way of life that's out there. So it's sad that we cannot go to our school systems and be offered an African language. And yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, it's sad. You know, I think our ancestors are crying and saying, you're trying everything else, but when you going to try me? When you going to turn to me? And I know the indoctrination is very heavy, and 3 or so 100 years, it may have been a little bit more difficult, for us to, and this, because they suppress this knowledge and this information so much. But now, the average somebody 40, 50 years old, just by observation and living, something should be talking to you inside that something is just ain't right. Something is wrong. And, we tend to not to, look at the historical breadcrumbs that is left for us to do it. And I guess that with that, that whole, me and Dr. Brown talked about the Stockholm and the Willie Lynch stuff, and we become complacent and comfortable in where it is, and we expect things to be the way they are, and don't look for anyone. It just took all the motivation, all motivation, and all the gumption out of you, to even look that way, and then put this whole negative narrative about Africa, and your people showing those negative images, and people don't know how should know how powerful imagery is, so therefore we don't look that way, and we still trying to fix our problem with a capitalistic approach, and you see right now it's not working for us.
Well, my understanding as I grow and live evolves. I started out in one place and looking for answers, through this one place, and found some answers, partial answers, and over
Seek.
time I decided that I would look and continue looking until
Seek.
the day I'm out of here.
That's
And
right,
so
brother.
there was a book that was written about um, Cass. I forget the woman's name, the author. I have it behind me here. Um, it's the what is the name of this book? Can't find the name of the book. Anyway, it's behind me on my bookshelf. It's turned up. But the book it's called Cass. It's about Cass, right? And this um, African American philosopher. She talked about caste and how that the Africans in North America and in most of the Western world live in a caste system. A caste system is a system in which you're born into, and you don't have any. There's no way you can get out of that system. And so she really turned it on its head for a lot of us to look at this as more as a caste system as opposed to a race thing. And in fact, race, there's no scientific basis for race except for the human race. Otherwise, you have ethnic groups, but you have only one race, and that's the human race. And so, what we can look at a caste system, we can see different types of caste systems around the world. We have the major one that we're talking about it really should be called colorism, because at the top of the heap is the white, and then at the bottom of the heap is the black. And so, and in between there's different colors and things like that. And so this caste system of colorism is what has been plaguing us for a long time. We need to get rid of that caste system. And and so I always say to people, we live in a caste system. Like in India, you have the religious caste system. You're born in that caste, you can't get out of that caste. You have to die in that caste. There's a gender caste system. There's men and women. You can't get out of that caste. I mean, well, you can change now. I mean, people do. They change their sexual orientation, but in general, most people, their sexual orientation is what they're born with, and they die with. And the idea is that in these caste systems, like for example, the gender caste system, is they made women as a lesser caste, and everything that women own or touch or do is lesser, and so they get paid less. They do the same work to get paid less. There's rules that the male caste is telling the female caste how they should comport themselves in this world on all levels. So, and these caste systems, they're set in place as these are power tools. So people who want power, they set up these caste systems and erect a hierarchy. And most of these caste systems at the top of it are men. And then if it's religious, it's still men, because there's hardly any women in the religious caste systems. And so they've been subjected to genderism and religious caste. And then we have the color caste system. So we're bound by these caste systems that we have not acknowledged as being something that we are stuck in. And we hear talk about racism and things like that. And so we've been talking about racism for a long time, but we have not been able to correctly identify what it is. It's not racism, it's colorism. And it's a caste system. You die in it and you're born in it. You can't get out. in those caste systems, you have ranking. Okay, so you go from the darkest dark to the whitest white. All right, so the blue-eyed, blonde hair, white, pale white person is a higher caste than a dark, dark skinned black person. All right, and then in those castes and among so-called black, and I often don't like to use that word because there's no such thing as black, but they among that group of African people, we have these caste systems based on colorism there. And you have among the native people, the brown people, and all over the world, they have these caste systems set up for themselves too. It's based on color. India, China, the Native Americans, the Hispanics, they all have these caste systems set up following this idea of colorism. The lighter you are, the better you are. And this caste system needs to be dismantled completely, because as long as that stays in place, the world is going to be it's going to be just doing what it's doing now. Just uh, men and that caste system is just going to keep the world in a turmoil, and we'll never ever have any kind of sustainable life here, because
Right.
it induces a conflict and friction.
Right. It's about balance. People got to understand that the whole system is about balance. And that is some of the problems that I had with the Bible as well, because there wasn't much balance there. In dealing with it. And again, our listeners, our travelers, I'm talking to my good brother Dumisani. Um, it's and we want you guys to stay locked into the journey, and please subscribe if you like these kind of conversations, and subscribe, hit the like button and the notification, so you'll know when we have upcoming videos. So we're going to change the gears a little bit, because
Okay.
um, you know something that is real important to me, that me and Dr. Brown had a discussion about, dealing with our consciousness. It's amazing when you really start understanding the intricacies of the body and our relationship to everything around us. It is really mind blowing. I can say the least. I can say mind blowing. And so I know you're up in New York. Let's start off a little bit about your practice in New York, because we can't put an army together, Brother Dumasani. We all sick and broke down and can't even stand up for a boycott long enough to do anything.
Okay, that's a big topic you introduce about consciousness and about health, and uh, where to start. The question is where to start.
Hmm.
When you really think about um, consciousness, is I mean, most people understand that when you're conscious, and I think I spoke about this on a show you had before about consciousness is a feedback loop. It's a mechanism that you're aware of yourself,
Uh-oh. Hold on, we lost our good brother.
aware of yourself, and so
Hmm.
you are that awareness gives you the feedback. Now, in a spiritual system, it's a little, a spiritual philosophy is a lot deeper than that, because what happens there is that you're the person that can see, and you get feedback from outside yourself, but then there's someone or something behind you that you have a discussion with, that you bring this outside experience that you experience back to this other self, and there's this evaluation that's going on between the two, that narrative, that discussion that takes place. And some people call that behind you, that's the God part of you, that's the consciousness part of you. They have a lot of different names for what it is, but we all have it. I don't care where you are and what kind of life you have. You can ignore it, or you can let it come out and run your life. And that is it's perfect, because it exists. It exists before you were born. It exists after you so-called die, and it exists in everything that we can imagine. And that part of you is there and you know it, but you may not have a name for it. Some people call it, they try to say, oh, that's God. And then, God is, what is God? And people start saying, well, it's, the three omnis: omnipresent, omnipotent, present. So you have all of these different concepts of God. And I don't like to use the word God because the word God is, I think it's just been misused so badly. And people have these ideas about it that it's just, I think we need to create a new word instead of God. But in ancient Egypt, I gotta go back to the Kemet, ancient Egypt. They were pretty. They were like they were very, very thoughtful about how they put their words together. So the idea of God was the word neter, which actually, when you translate the word neter from the ancient hieroglyphs, the Egyptian hieroglyphs, it was a symbol that meant nature.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what they're saying to you is that the concept of what they thought God was is everything that you see, nature. Okay, that means that they were very much aware of the stars, the sun, the planets. I mean, you go to the what's left of these people called the Dogon in Mali, and they're talking about there's a star called Sirius B, and most of the Western astronomers are very familiar with Sirius A, and they start talking about Sirius B, and it was only until late in the last century when they could detect a movement that later became Sirius B. They were able to certify that this Sirius B was an actual star. And so these people in West Africa, their whole philosophical cosmological arrangement was based around this particular star. And the ancient Egyptians, they're one of the main things that they used to cite their rituals and ceremonies was the sighting of the Sirius star.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so, when you start talking about the idea of how these people were looking at themselves and the expression of the concept of God, it was very different. And I think my evolution of this idea of God is that um, if you alienate yourself from nature, right? Which is, and they say God is nature. If you
Mm-hmm.
alienate yourself from nature, we are all organic beings and spiritual beings. If I alienate myself from you, I'm alienate myself from God, right?
Okay.
Because you're God.
Mm-hmm.
And today we have this idea that nature is over there, somewhere over there, and you are over here,
Mm-hmm.
and nature is getting bad, the oceans are getting bad, the forests we're losing the forests, the air, nature is degrading. But you never realize that in this ancient Kemet idea,
Mm-hmm.
yes, we are one. We are
Mm-hmm.
nature.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
this is how my practice is based on this concept, right? So people be saying to me like, why I have this disease? I said, well, you are part of the environment. You eat, breathe, sleep, everything. If this environment is away from nature
Yes.
and it's full of toxins and poisons, you are nature. Yes, these things will show up in you.
I see.
And the problem of the world is we try to point out like there's some medicine out there that's going to make us better, but uh, we can't get better until the world is better. And
Now
cancer is just I
Mhm.
mean, most of the things you look at when they start talking about carcinogens, there's so many carcinogens in your house. There's carcinogens. The clothes we wear create
Mhm.
carcinogens. The paint. I mean, the packaging. It's carcinogens everywhere. So how are you going to get away from cancer when carcinogens is in nature all around you. And
Hmm.
they say, oh, it's a failure of your immune system. Like your body has been evolved to fight against all these carcinogens. I don't think so.
Hmm. Well,
Okay,
Doc,
so
what kind of, yeah, I mean, you're seeing people up in New York, and I've been talking to you. Your practice is just, keeping you real busy. I can't even get you back to come to Cleveland, but you're busy up there. What's some of the problems that you run into all the time?
okay, so here's okay. I do what they call chi medicine,
Hmm.
right? And I coined this term chi medicine because chi medicine in the Far East is of what I call, and what they call energetics. Okay, chi medicine is the life force that we manipulate to bring back balance in your life. So, using acupuncture, using herbs, using um, breathing techniques, um, I mean, this is what you can use to bring yourself back into balance. So, I'm a licensed acupuncturist, but that doesn't tell you very much. That tells you that I'm licensed to use and insert, these very fine needles into a meridian system, which has points that represent certain aspects of your chi. So there's a point on your hand that you can use to stop pain anywhere in the body, headaches, stomach pains, almost any kind of pain in your body. There's points on your foot that you can use to relax you so you don't walk around stressed. Um, in the Indian system, that same spot is used. When I say Indian system, let me just kind of back up a bit. The Indian system I'm talking about it's based on this concept of prana. It's like chi. It's like this the idea of this flow of vital force that flowing through your body. They call it prana, and their name for their form of medicine is called Ayurvedic medicine, and that is and it's just like the chi medicine. It is connected to the spiritual aspect of you. So there's no separation between the what we call the body and the mind. So in the chi medicine, um, um, the point that would use to reduce stress is the same point that would be considered in the Ayurvedic system as to remove karma. On a very basic level, karma is just simply a memory. Right? And if you remove the memory, then you remove the karma.
Okay.
And this is how PTSD works. It's a memory. And if you could remove the memory or abate the memory or process the memory in such a way that it does not interfere with your life, then you have removed that event or that trauma in your life, and you can move on. You're not stuck in that. And so,
Mm.
um, the science of chi and these energetic sciences coming out of the East and in Africa and also in North America, that the native people they use a similar system, and this was based on a whole system of mind, body, spiritual, uh, you know, uh, you know, and the system that I work through is the Chinese medicine, as they call it. Well, I call it Qi medicine, in which the idea is is a um, is a idea of balance of the spirit. They're not focusing on the balance of the physical anatomy. They're looking at the energetic anatomy. And the
Okay.
energetic anatomy can be broken down from, the body, uh, um, um, the emotions, the mind, and the spirit at the highest, right? So the spirit aspect covers a whole range of things. So it'll cover all from the mind, the emotions, and the body. So if you work on the level of the body, which is the more physicality or the focus of the spirit energy down into material, you can have, you know, some impact. But the other thing is that you it will come back, and it takes a lot of work to change things. And so hence in biomedicine, they work on the body, and they work on, you know, the molecular structure and chemistry, and they have to give you medicine that will repeat every day until the rest of your life, because it's not changing anything above the biology.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So people don't understand that. So when I explain it that way, people understand, oh, so that's what it's doing. So if I treated you from a higher level, say, for example, if I treated you from a level of spirit, then everything underneath would now be set into balance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's fall into
Okay.
place.
So
Okay.
this
Right.
is where this is the beauty of their medicine. So they were able to look at a person and look at you in a holistic fashion, as they say, integrated. Meaning, a holistic just simply means that your spirit is integrated into your body.
Mm. Uh-oh. We lost our good brother. We'll get him back.
It was simply saying this is you are a integrated being. That's the
Mm-hmm.
word holistic mean.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not just
Integrated
talking about
being.
yeah, we're not talking about biology. We're talking about everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, people have this idea about spirituality, and they start thinking, oh, spirituality is this mythical thing that happens at some space and time. You know, I say in the old days, the people used to walk up on you and they said, Lynn, how's your spirit today, my son? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And how would you answer?
The spirit is well today. It's
All right.
we're we're
Okay.
communing well.
Okay. Okay. Now,
Uh-huh.
what they were doing is they were speaking directly to your spirit, as opposed to how your body feels today. They don't want to know how your body feels. They want to know
Boy,
what your
okay.
spirit is doing. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that
Okay.
is simply the way this medicine works. Is that your spirit has these different elements involved. The Chinese, uh, I call it chi medicine. And the reason I say chi medicine is because the Japanese put their own spin on this medicine for centuries. So they have their herbal system is called Kimpo, and their acupuncture treatments that they give are completely different.
Oh.
Completely different.
Mm.
There's a Japanese style of acupuncture. They look at the chi completely different, and they have different techniques. They have a technique called Reiki that came out from Japan. That's not Chinese.
Is that right? Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
All right. In
All right.
Korea, they have their own idea about the chi. Their acupuncture is completely different, and their herbal system is different. They use the same idea of chi. We'll get back to the herbalism in a minute. And then in Vietnam, and then in Myanmar, and in Laos, and Cambodia, and all of the Far East, they use, and in Taiwan, and in the Philippines, they use this concept of chi. And this concept of chi was the guiding force of how their medicine was developed. So this is why I call it chi medicine. Yes, the Chinese were the first that we see. They codified this thing in books, but then when it went from them, it went to Tibet, it went to Korea, it went to Japan, it went to Vietnam. It went all over, and each one of those countries and cultures put their stamp on it, and they followed the basic ideas because those basic ideas were sound. They were steeped in science, but they used chi medicine, and that is how I talk about it. Because um, when chi medicine comes here, people say Chinese medicine. I might be doing Japanese style. So should I say I get licensed in Japanese medicine? No,
Mm.
I might be using Korean style. Do I say I get licensed in Korean medicine? As that would be me saying, uh, I'm a Western medicine, or I'm American medicine, or I'm an English medicine, or I'm a French medicine. But you understand how they all use the same biochemistry, right?
Mm-hmm.
So these people are using chi as their main focus of their medical system. So
Mm-hmm.
I say chi medicine, and in fact, um, it's a bit like the Chinese like to hear you say that because it gives them some pride. Okay, I'm not trying to take anything from them. I honor their ancestors who developed all of this stuff, but then in other countries, their ancestors in those countries also developed a lot of this science and added things to it and developed it. So you have Buddhism from India, then you have uh, Zen Buddhism in Japan. They're different. They're
Okay.
similar but different.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't say Indian Buddhism. You don't say Japanese Buddhism. They just say Zen Buddhism over here. This is Tibetan Buddhism over there. Whatever. You got in the Western world, we have the same thing with religion. Religion went from one place to the next.
Mm-hmm.
We have all these different schools of philosophy in terms of religion.
Mm-hmm.
Christianity, I mean to say, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
have all these different branches of Christianity. No, who's right? I don't get into argument who's right. It's just that they developed it, and yes, it came from here, and I can see where it came from and why these people decided to use it this way. I'm not here to judge it. I'm here to understand it. And the same thing with this chi medicine. So I look at chi medicine. Uh, yes, I thank the Chinese for keeping this thing alive. And from my research, there's probably a good bit of credibility that it came uh, from the west out to the east, and that's how most of the information and knowledge flowed. It started in the sort of in the middle and flowed out to the east. And as each culture it hit it, like there's no difference between, and I mean there's big differences, but no difference in terms of energetic between Indian Ayurvedic medicine and the Chi medicine in the Far East. And you can see the evolution and change as it goes through each culture and time period. And this is and so we look, we as humans, we we appropriate or expropriate. We take things from each other, and then we do, we take it, and so I stamp and put my name on it, right? I got my thing. This is our thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Right, right.
So I mean, we as African people here, we are everything that's in the West. The, all the creativity is flowing. Most of this creativity, especially in the things that we can involve ourselves, has been appropriated by the Western world.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely, Don.
right,
You know,
music, arts. I mean,
yeah,
clothing,
no, come on.
speech. I mean, everything. Right. And you know what
Hey,
I
hey,
say?
hey, Doc, if you're busy fighting all the time, it's hard to build a infrastructure up if you're fighting and being transient all the time. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
I
So
say
you still that part of the philosophy and religion and stuff. You take that from somebody else, then you don't have to spend that time and do it because you got to be in peace in order to understand and deal with the higher thinking, higher learning and
yes,
understanding and watching
yes,
nature
yes,
and finding the godliness in nature and
yes.
incorporating that into a system that works for the people. Come on now.
Okay, let me go back to the herbs. Said I would go back. I will circle
Hmm.
back, right? So going to
Hmm.
back up, zip, back to the herbs, right? Now,
Hmm.
the herb system is very different from the Western idea of herbs. So a
Okay.
lot of people say, "Oh, I want some herbs. So give me some herbs," and they're thinking like they're going to drink this and it's going to do something, make them feel better, or so forth and so on, right? Well, in the chi system, the idea of herbs is part of the philosophy of chi. So they have these patterns, and they can look at those patterns and say, this person's pattern has, say, for example, um, their stress. And so that interpretation, loose interpretation, would say this person have liver chi stagnation. And so the liver chi stagnation herbs are herbs that specifically address the liver chi, stagnation. And these herbs, you can go in and look at the ingredients from a biochemistry point of view, but you would never get to the idea that these are for liver chi stagnation or for stress. The other piece is that they have a system. So the other thing about herbs is that we tend to like one to one. So I'll take this herb and I'll use this herb, and so this is what's going to happen. In reality, the herbs that you get in Chinese medicine is usually a formulation of anywhere from 2 to 15 to 25 herbs. And these herbs, their harmony has been attested over thousands of years. So I don't like to change the formulations. Now, one of the things that happened when I first got involved with Chinese herbalism is that a lot of the Westerners, when they got it, their idea was they want to create these new formulas and this new way of doing the formulas and make it our way. And at first I kind of got into that, oh yeah, let's change this. Let's see, let's find out what it is and learn it and take it. And then as I went along, I started to see the wisdom of how these people were able to match these these herbs in a spiritual system. And the spiritual system is about the smell and the taste, not about the biochemistry of the body. And the smell and the taste were connected to these energy channels called chi channels or meridians. And those herbs were matched to the chi and the channels through the taste and the smell. So the smell, of course, is a spiritual faculty. It's like you burn incense. It changed the way you feel, right?
Come on now, Doc.
Okay.
All right,
So just think about it, right?
Mhm.
So when I got involved in this, I started thinking about, okay, let me cook the one herb by itself. I smell it, and then I taste it, and then I read the book, and the book said it has a bitter taste, and it travels to the heart, because the heart likes bitter. It's in the heart channel. So I taste it, I smell it, a slightly burnt smell, and it go to the heart channel, and it calms the spirit. It calms the shin. They call the spirit means shin. So it would calm the spirit, just that one herb. And then I would look at it and say, okay, well, why did they put all these herbs together? And the system is that the heart and the various other organs deal with these relationships. And they will put together these herbs around these relationships that was harmonious.
See.
And once I got that, I stepped back and said, okay, me, in my little puny life and knowledge, these people have been doing this for thousands of years. So I honor them. I look at what they do and I honor them. And I'm not trying to make something new. All I want to do is understand the wisdom of what these people created, and I apply it. And so they have formulations for just about everything under the sun. Just
Wow.
about everything under the sun. And they
Hey,
are
hey,
very effective.
Doc, I want you to real quick. This is stepping back just a sec, just a little bit.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, because it's about education and knowledge. Because I think that a lot of us do what we do to our body, ill treated, based a lot of to you can basic a lot to or contributed to us not knowing the functioning of our organs. A lot of us don't even know the positions of the organs that are in our bodies. Let alone know what it takes optimally to run and be efficient. So I want you to take us quickly to school right now
Okay.
and
Let
talk
me
about
let me
the
just
different major organs and what they're responsible for. And if you
okay.
want to talk about
All right.
what it needs optimally to run, that's
Okay.
good.
All right. So let me just this is coming from chi medicine. I'm going to give you a quick I wish I had a video. I guess they
Yeah.
look at the video, but you can find a video somewhere. But they have what they call 5 elements,
Okay.
and each element represents an organ. Okay. And now you got to remember they're talking about nature. We're going back to nature, right? Now we got to think, right? So
Mm.
each one of those elements also represent a planet, but they don't want to talk about the planetary, configuration of the energy of the planet. They said, no, we'll talk about nature. What does a planet look like in nature? It looks like wood. That's Jupiter. They would say the fire, that looks like Mars. They would say the lung, that looks like Venus. They would say the kidneys, that look like Mercury, and so forth and so on. So the stomach looked like Saturn. Okay, but they said instead of talking that way, why don't we just link it up? So they created these things called the 5 elements. So the 5 elements is you have, like I just said, fire, water, metal, wood, and water. So the 5 elements, and those elements are connected to the organs. And these organs, they don't do what they do in the Western idea of organs. The Western idea of organ is just anatomy based. Like, for example, most people don't understand how Western medicine really works. It's based on biochemistry. So we're talking about molecules, atoms, then molecules, right? Because the atoms make up molecules. And the way they make medicine is they're looking at the molecules inside your organs and what these organs, what molecules, in the cells, how they respond to the chemistry. And so when they look at the body, they're looking at the outer aspect of it. You think because you can go and look and see, actually see something, that you understand it. You're not really understanding it from the way it really is. What you're getting is a skewed picture of just the biology of it,
Okay.
not other things, because these organs, they have other qualities. So, for example, the liver we know is a big detox. Everything that you consume has to go through the liver, right? It has to pass through the liver. As Dr. Brown was talking about gastroenterology,
Mm-hmm.
enterology, is
Mm-hmm.
he talked about as a doctor, a GI doctor, he is concerned everything from the mouth to the anus, right? So the outside is brought into the inside. And before it's introduced into the inside, there's got to be a decision maker about what goes in and what doesn't go in. And that's the liver. So everything, the portal vein there's a vein that runs from the intestines to the liver. It's called the portal vein. And that vein brings all the nutrients into the body, and it has to pass through the liver. And the liver is the gatekeeper. It makes a decision, should this go or that don't go? This is toxic, that's not toxic. This will kill you, that won't. So the liver's job is to make sure whatever passed to the internal part of the body is now safe. Okay? As simple as it is. It's a gatekeeper. It's there inspecting. What is this coming? And so what happens in the world that we live in today, uh, most people's livers is full of chemicals. And so hence the need for a detox as part of your regimen. So I put people, I just got a client, she just came in, she got 2 pages of medicines. And I looked at it, I said, my God, they're giving her all of these medicines, right?
Mm-hmm.
For she has type 2 diabetes and she has some cardiac stuff, right? I mean, 14 different medicines. No healing is going to take place. These medicines are going to weaken her, because the body now has to take those chemicals and make a decision that what stays and what goes. And what stays get caught in the liver before it can be excreted out through the body. And some is now shunted off to the site where the drug is needed. I don't want to get too technical, but this thing called the first pass in the liver, right? The first pass is that when they do any kind of testing of the dose of a medicine, they want to know how much is going to get to the target tissue. So they'll calibrate in your blood how much they gave you, maybe 100 milligrams, but in your blood you need 20. And if the blood titers, the analysis shows that the blood only have 10 milligrams, then you have to up the dosage to maybe 150. Okay, because they know that in the lab that they did the research on the tissue and on the animals that it has to be that much. And so now that 20 milligrams is going to your, say for example, to your liver. What's happening to that 150? That,
Come
so
on.
you got 130 of just that's been taken out. The liver job is, I'm the gatekeeper, so it's too much out. So they have to calibrate it based on what they call the first pass. And most people are unaware of that. That the bodies are being toxic, full of toxins through the medicines they're taking. And as a matter of course, I just refer my patients over to an amino acid called reduced L-glutathione, and that will detox almost any chemical, man-made or otherwise, out of the body. So I have people take that on a regular basis. If you're taking medication, then take that. I don't tell people to come off medication. Uh, my personal thing is I don't take any medication, but I tell people, see your doctor, talk to them. If you want to try it, you can come off. If that's your decision, I'm not going to make that decision for you. I will tell you what it will do, and I will try to, if you're going to stay on it, I will try to work it, as much as I can to keep you healthy, and all of the, side effects, they call quote side effects, but those are the effects of the medicine, right? So the side effects, right? So I'll work with you on that. But that makes my job a lot more complicated because I have to work on, you got taking 13 different medicines, and I got to read the side effects of 13 different medicines, right? And those 13 different medicines work at the synergistic effect of those 13 side effects. Uh, I just say, look, I just wish that the conventional science would sit down with people and say, we don't know if I give you more than one medication, we don't know what effect it will have on you, how they're going to work together, because they never do clinical trials with 2 or 3 different medicines together.
Good point. Okay.
They only do it with one.
That's right.
So they don't know what's going to happen. Now, I usually, when I first started out, I had a lot of my patients come back, excuse me, and say to me, why, the doctor says to them, why are you taking all these herbs? We don't know what they're going to do. And I would hear the story. And I would say to them, well, these people, they did this for thousands of years, and they harmonized these. And so they minimize the side effects. In fact, in the study, the herbs that you can't take with certain herbs, right? They inimical, right? And they're contraindicated. So you can't mix those herbs together because they cause certain effects inside the body. In Chinese medicine, it's there. It's well stated. So Chinese herbs is well researched. It's stated in their journals. Their Materia Medica, which have over 900 different herbs in the section off in different sections of how they affect the body. Some tonify the qi, some calm the spirit, the shin, some get rid of dampness, some get rid of colds and flus. They call it surface stuff, right? Because colds and flu are not deep. They don't go deep into the body. It's all segmented off, and they have it set up as a system, and it makes more sense than anything I've ever run into. Western medicine doesn't give any credence to Chinese medicine. Acupuncture, insurance will take it because they see the effects, but they don't believe the science behind it. They say the science is voodoo. This is how they talk about Chinese medicine or Qi medicine. They call it voodoo medicine. There's no science. What is it? Woo, woo, woo. What is this thing? I know science. I know chemistry. I know atoms. I know molecules. I know cellular structure. Yes, that's the system. But these people had a system long before you had a system, and they perfected the system. So at least, leave the hubris behind and be humble to accept something that somebody's bringing to you that is very old. But that is not understood that way. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
back to my discussion earlier about the spirit. I just want to say that I'm more focused on spirit. That's the spirit end of the medicine. And that's one of the things that I spent most of my time working on, that end of the Chinese medicine, not so much on the physical. I treat a person who comes in with pain completely different from somebody else comes in, because I'm treating the spirit, not the body. Okay.
Yeah, I know you mentioned the liver, and that I don't want to leave the
Yeah.
couple of people maybe listening
Oh, okay.
on
So the liver.
yeah, because
Yes.
we talked about the heart. You said so,
Yeah.
the liver, the heart, gallbladder. Just quickly their functions and what they do.
Okay. In Chinese medicine, the gallbladder doesn't do the thing that it does in Western medicine. Western medicine, gallbladder is it 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 adds fats into the bio fats into the system, right? To break
Okay.
up fat, right?
Okay.
In the Chinese medicine, gallbladder has the effect of strengthening the muscles and the tendons.
Okay.
Okay, and so does the liver. Besides the emotionality, it had the gallbladder when it's weak. It's somebody who gets startled easily. The other effect of gallbladder, because we're talking about these channels that are attached to the organs, tinnitus, high pitched tinnitus, is gallbladder disease. Usually, it can be related to the kidneys. The kidneys is not an organ that just filters. The kidneys are the organ that where the essence. I would have to do a whole show on this, but the essence of you that's transferred from your parents are transferred to you through your kidneys, and they call that the what they call this substance called Jing, and Jing is like DNA, and Jing is a substance that's given to you, and if you live badly, overeat, overwork, use drugs, too much sex, too much stress, you can deplete the Jing and you die. You can build the Jing up by breathing, qigong, acupuncture, herbs, and things like that. And the kidneys are the foundational organs of the fire in the water, and they give the body what they call the ancestral qi. They pass it to every organ, so every organ gets a taste of this ancestral qi. The heart gets ancestral qi. The liver, the liver gets ancestral qi. The lung, the spleen. These organs inside the body, the way they work in Chinese medicine is completely different. The idea. It's easy for you to understand because you come from a spirit world, meaning that the way you talk about the world and the way you feel the world is very spiritual. And so this is an easy medicine for you to get. But most people get, the idea is like, oh, this is too much, it's just too dead. No, once you explain it, that is simple. And you start to see that what they were addressing through all of these different techniques was just to bring the spirit back into balance. And these channels of energy flow, these organs, the way they operate. The spleen in the Western world has nothing to do with digestion. It has to do with your immune system. Okay.
And okay. Now,
All right.
that being said, they quick to pull out that certain
It has no purpose.
your gallbladder. Yeah, you can just
No
take it.
purpose.
You don't need it.
Right. In the way, in conventional medicine, the kidneys have a filtering function, and then they have the adrenals that's attached to the kidneys. And the adrenal, of course, is adrenaline and cortisol, right? And so those two things. Adrenaline is the fight or flight hormone, and cortisol is the stress hormone, right? And this hormone system, remember we talked about consciousness being aware of itself, right? Well, the inside the body, the awareness of all of the hormones, glands, and the hormones, there's a feedback mechanism. It's aware of itself. So sometimes it's too much or too less, and so it says no. We have to now. There's a lot of cortisol that's in the body. Let's lower this, and let's try and keep this person healthy. And okay, so what we're going to do is, all right, so we're going to cause this person to have hypertension because what's happening is we got to keep this person alive. Otherwise, it could turn into something else. So hypertension, in a way, is the body trying to keep you healthy and alive. which is very different than the way the Western medicine look at it. They're looking at it just plumbing, but there's an intelligence in the body that's making decisions to try and keep you alive. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Insulin, I mean, cortisol interferes with the spleen function, right? Insulin, okay, in this case, right? So why people have high blood pressure and type 2 diabetes? Because they're under stress.
Mm-hmm.
You remove the stress, then no cortisol.
Okay.
Okay. No
Okay.
cortisol, then no type 2 diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in Chinese medicine, diabetes has nothing to do with food.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
It only involves food after the derangement of the organ or the dysregulation of the organ. Then the food now comes up.
Oh, I see. I see what you're
But
saying.
you don't get diabetes because you were eating a lot of sweets.
No?
No, that's not the main contributor. The main contributor is that cortisol interferes with the insulin. It binds and takes the insulin out of the function, so it can't work. It's dysregulation.
So are we back to stress? We talking here?
Stress is the mother of all disease. That's why I said that started I talked to you about the liver chi stagnation.
Mm-hmm.
That the liver is the most important organ in the body in many ways.
Mm-hmm.
Stress is the mother of all disease.
I mean,
Stress,
what we in the West here, just, I mean, come on, the last 10, 15 years, they really started incorporating the idea of stress and effects on, at least to the public, seems like.
Okay, all right. So when I first started out on this healing journey, I was told that Black people had a salt retentive gene that made them have hypertension.
Right.
Okay. I was always like under the awareness that the word hypertension meant somebody was hypertense.
Mm-hmm.
And so if all these people were hypertense, well, what was the cause? So I started doing my research. So I went around the world. I looked at WHO. Okay, let me see the stats all over the world. Okay, I know Black people got the salt retentive gene. In Africa, they're going to have high blood pressure all over the place. In Brazil, there's more Black people. There's going to be high blood pressure. When I looked, the people who had the highest blood pressure in the world were the people in Norway.
Norway.
Okay. Why? Because they have 6 months light, 6 months darkness. So their whole circadian seasonal rhythm is completely off. They eat lots of pork and meat, drink lots of vodka. Okay. High levels of depression. Okay. Then I pop down to African Americans and say, okay, what's the difference? Well, the food is pretty bad, but they eat American food, right? Most, with a little twist, right? They put our little ethnic twist on it, right? We got color, our Black man, we're gonna make it.
You know how we do.
All right. So they talk bad about the food. So I said, okay, yes. But I saw a lot of people who were eating the food didn't have high blood pressure. And I saw people who were thin, who wasn't fat, they had high blood pressure. So I was trying to figure out, how to make this thing happen, right? Ooh, I gotta get some. Excuse me for a second. I gotta. My power thing is going down.
Oh, okay.
Hold on a second. I gotta get some power here. Let me see. All right. Hold on a second. Just put on pause.
No problem. I keep
hold on a second. I get it.
Okay. Give us a second, guys, so you can
I didn't anticipate going this long.
Get us powered up so we can keep this good conversation going, man. I know I'm learning something. You guys need to be taking some notes.
What was that?
Now I'm talking to the audience now. They need to be taking some notes about this right here, because it's really, I see right now it's a whole different approach. Like I assumed and presumed, and I talk about it all the time. It's a whole different approach and way that people from the East, approach dealing with healing and medicine. It's a whole different look. People got to understand this is a new thing right here. America with their healing and understanding the body and stuff like you said. That's been they've been doing this thousands of years, and have
Yes.
perfected this thing. I mean, and all you got to
Yes.
do is look around you and see hospitals growing everywhere and adding on new wings, and pathology is running crazy, and it's younger and younger people having issues that are going on, and that's the problem I had, like I said before, with the church and things like that. They don't put the whole picture together. They talk a little bit about it in the Bible, the unseen, the spiritual world is runs the physical world, but we really don't get to the meat of understanding what is that actually saying. So our ancestors understood. Let's go to the spiritual and the unseen world and get this thing fixed, so it all can work homogeneously together and creating healing. So yeah. So continue, Doc.
Okay, so we have these diseases now, and the sophistication of Western medicine now is in some ways is catching up. So they have this thing called Syndrome X. Syndrome X is hypertension, diabetes, and obesity. That disease is prevalent, heavily present in our communities, the communities of color. I worked in Brooklyn for many years, Manhattan, working all around the city, the Bronx, the Queens, Staten Island. I have patients from all the boroughs. And often what happens when a person has Syndrome X, they put a port on them up here, right? It's a little port. It's a little device that connects to their veins. I mean, not veins, but through their arteries. And they do, kidney. I'm lost. I lost the idea that what do they do? Kidney. Yeah, you're gonna have to edit this part. When they go to when they do the they put the the people the
dialysis
kidney.
stuff.
What is it?
Got dialysis stuff.
Yeah, that's what I mean to say. I got
Okay.
thrown off. I'm looking at something. Yeah, dialysis. So
Mhm.
so they put a port on them to set them up because they know dialysis is coming next.
Mhm.
They don't have kidney disease yet.
Talking about they setting them up for it. Huh?
They set them up with the port
Wow.
because the next stage is the kidney dialysis because the kidney is going to fail. Because what happens is the sugar destroys the small blood vessels, and the smallest blood vessels in the body is in the kidneys and in the eyes. Okay, so you got and at the tips and the ends of your fingers and feet. So what happens? They start to amputate. You've seen people who get amputated feet, legs,
Absolutely.
go blind.
Mm-hmm.
That is sugar. Sugar is destructive. But the destruction happened because the person, um, uh, um, kidneys, there's so much stress going on in their life that was secreting so much cortisol that they couldn't stop. And so the doctors are giving them medicines, and the cure is for the person to be at peace. And the population who is not at peace is the people of color. We are under the gun. We've been under the gun ever since we've been here. Okay. Before we moved into the cities in mass and the great migrations, we lived on our own areas and our own land, and we had our own. It was bad. The terror was bad, but we could get away and create our own world. And we always had to be aware of them, but we didn't have to live with them every day, except in certain situations. But we would always go back to our own, and that was a relief we would have. But once the Great Migration, there was no getting out of relief from that.
So,
Once you move
doctor,
in
look.
the, go ahead.
So let me ask you. So, with your conquest of looking at different blacks all over the globe, how did Africa fend with those with that syndrome that
Africa,
you
when I was
was?
looking at the data, that was some years ago, they had the
Mm-hmm.
least amount of prostate cancer, least amount of breast cancer. They had the least amount of hypertension, least amount of diabetes, right? Least amount of obesity. They would be, and throughout Africa, you have big people, but they wouldn't be obese.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a difference. You got thick, as we say, thick, right? Healthy thick, as opposed to obese.
Mm-hmm. And,
Okay.
and and you said though in some of those conditions, being thick and obese like that is not synonymous with diabetes and things of that nature. It's
That's
not
right.
not
That's right.
necessarily the case
That's
in
right.
that. Right?
And in
So because
fact,
we look at somebody heavy over here, we automatically say, "Oh boy, that's a walking time bomb right there."
yes.
Yeah, so
So
that's me.
so this is pretty bad. So that's why I moved toward the end of the spiritual side of it, because I realized that the physical side wasn't going to help. We would, how we saved ourselves here and underneath this caste system. We would go as a group to a place and relieve the stress every week, and we would come out of that place and feel good. It was a cathartic experience that we would all share, and as a group, we would help each other. And
Mm,
this was now this from the '60s on. It was broken, and when they migrated to the north, it was broken. And so that's why the diseases got worse. But before we moved to these cities and these small places, that's why you see a lot of these storefront churches in our community. Well, these are just cities or towns that moved. Their relatives all moved up here, right? If you really go
mm,
and investigate,
mm,
the people in that little storefront are all relatives or friends or from the same town
mm,
initially.
mm,
Okay,
mm.
they kept that bond when they moved north, right, or
Yeah.
west or wherever they went.
Dr.
And
Hill,
was
it's
that
amazing. It's amazing, Doc, to me that we don't even attack it and don't even look at it from that side of the spiritual, side or the unseen or even the emotional side to a certain degree. We departmentalize, the psychiatry, you need psychiatry here, the pastor's here, uh, the medical doctor is here, but that's America for you. They don't put it all together to see the relationships.
and just for a minute, I'm hearing a lot of static when you talk.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know.
Okay, I'm not sure what that is.
Okay, I'll work on it, but go ahead. Mhm.
There's a lot of static. It seems like maybe I'm not sure, the microphone or something. There's a lot of static.
Yeah.
When you move around, any sound is coming from that side. There's a lot of static. Maybe it's just me, but it sounds like there's a lot of static on that side.
Yeah, I hear a little bit of it. Yes.
Okay, all right.
Hmm.
So yes, so I went to the realm of the spiritual side because I realized that it was the spiritual side that was where we used in the past to get through all of this pain and suffering that we were under. Okay, so now one of the biggest groups who are committing suicide are the black youth under 12. You hear it?
Hmm.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 committing suicide because there's no place for them. That since the advent of this social media, there's no place for them. They feel left out. They feel, and they see, and it's not just a feeling, they see that they're marginalized big time. Like before, you could hide it for the young kids. They didn't see so much. And then when they got to a certain age, then they were able to handle it and say, oh, okay, I see it and I understand it. But with social media, it's terrible. And it's a crisis, and nobody's talking about it. It's just tearing our community apart. Young kids not even had a chance to develop what it tastes like, and they're dying. Another aspect of health has to do with time. And this is what I'm doing a workshop on this weekend. I mean, it's Friday. I'm doing 5 classes or workshops on how to use time in the spirituality of Chi medicine. And using time as a factor, in the Chinese system of Chi medicine, also Ayurvedic medicine, they have a clock that tells you what organs are open at what time of the day. So there's 12 organs, and so there's 24 hours. So each organ gets 2 hours. And so there's a time for the heart, the time for the kidney, time for liver, time for lungs, so forth and so on. And if you want to really have a good balance, you find out what your imbalance is. And at that time, when that organ is open, you can either take the herbs or do the qigong, which is something that you can do to make the organ balance. This is a very powerful integrated system, and it's looked at. And the West, they are like what they do is they go take little snippets out, right, and then they present it to you, okay, and they take little snippets and little snippets and little snippets. And so what you get is these little snippets of things. And, a lot of people have heard about Qi, right? And they see Tai Chi and little snippets. Well, Tai Chi was a prescription that when you went to the doctor said, do Tai Chi at this time of the day and this type of Tai Chi. You get, oh, well, I'm just going to wake up every day, I'm going to do Tai Chi. No, it wasn't like that. It was a finely tuned system. And if you work it, it's beautiful. We have the daily cycle, like I just said. That's time. Then you also have a week cycle. You have a month cycle, the moon, and you also have seasonal or the solar cycles.
Yes.
And each one of those cycles, in terms of your spirit, you can bring it in harmony with that time using breathing, herbs, acupuncture. It's all written down. This is old stuff. It's written down. I'm not doing anything new. I'm just introducing it to people so they can use it. This is all old stuff. Look, I'm not a creator. I'm just trying to pull things together and talk about it so you can understand it. But this stuff has been around for thousands of years. So I'm here to just say, look, here's some solutions coming from the East. So we can take these solutions, we can use them in our life. And these things have been there forever. Like, for example, every day has a certain energy. But you don't know this because you grew up speaking English. But if you were speaking Japanese or Chinese or Spanish, you'll know that the energy of Monday is related to the moon. You will know that Tuesday is Martes, meaning Mars. You know that Wednesday, what we call Wednesday, is related to Mercury and Mercurius. My Spanish is not so great. Thursday would be Jueves. That's Jupiter. Friday would be Venus. That's Venus. Saturday is Sabado. That's Saturn. And then Sunday is Domingo. But you know it means the sun. So why is it all mixed up? Why is this time all mixed up? Why you don't know what day it is? Because they know that the influence of those planets on the days of the week are something that they inherited from ancient Egypt. The solar calendar, our week calendar, our month calendar, all these things were given to the world by ancient Egypt, and they don't want you to know any of it, where it came from. And so much so that you believe because when you do the Abrahamic religion, embedded in that religion is that the Egyptians, the pharaohs, were evil, and you don't want to look at that. Okay,
Absolutely.
and
Hmm.
so you will not even try to say, okay, anything comes from over there is evil. But their whole science, their everything in the Western world and in the Eastern world was based on the science and the great things those people produced over, 70, 80, 90, centuries.
Mm-hmm.
And they, look, they have their days of the week, they have this thing called decans. Their week was 10 days. It followed their planetary system, which is what they call the Kabbalah. The Kabbalah is something that the Jews own. That's their thing. They don't even know where it come from. They're talking about it came from the Chaldeans. Okay, the Chaldeans are supposed to be these black people who migrated to Ghana, right? And so these books were written about the the the, the Jewish symbols in Ghana. There's a book out.
Okay.
Okay, you
U.S.
can write, you
symbols
can
and
see it,
that. Okay.
right? So, I mean, they keep hiding things so that you don't know what time it is. And if you don't know what time it is, they know what time it is because many of them use it. They put it in their system. That's why the Masons, the Masonic Order, they took all that and put it in there.
Mm-hmm.
What they give you in the Masons. You know what? But one of the reasons why I stepped over, I stayed in the Sarset for those years, all those years, is when I was in Africa, I had a chance to. The Rosicrucians are big, right? You've heard of the Rosicrucians before?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
They're
Yeah.
big. So me and my wife, we go say, okay, we'll sign up and get their pamphlets and get their information. We did it for about 2 years, and we said, this stuff is like they stringing you out. Like they you'll get something that would, it's like I can read that and get it in 2 minutes or 3 minutes, and they got me going 3 months to read this little section here. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And when I got back to the States and I hooked up with the Round Up Amen, he would pack in one class, he would pack in what they were doing over a year. And in fact, the head of the Rosicrucians in North America came and joined the Sarset Society for many
Is
years.
that right? Okay. Okay.
And we used to talk, and he used to talk about why the Masonic orders and all this stuff, why they wasn't letting people into the inner side of it. He was ahead of it, and he couldn't get. He was a brother of color, and he couldn't get inside.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hey, Don, quick question
Yeah.
before we draw to any conclusions here in
Yeah.
closing. Um, you tapped on a few things that I had my notes to talk about, and you hit
Okay.
on them good. I just
You had to bring me back though. You had to bring me back because we got this has been over an hour or so. That I mean it's good to talk, but if it's I mean I can go on for 6, 7, 8 hours if you
I
want to
know
sit
you
down and
can.
talk. I mean we can talk. I mean we can go. I mean Dr. Brown and I we could kick it for a whole day and
Is
don't
that
even
something,
touch it.
man?
We just tip of the iceberg.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right.
Well, brother, when you was see, that's the science that we have lost. Because our ancestors, you know, how you pointed out and talked about the different days and the energies in those different days, and then you went in and you broke down and started talking about the time frames on how Masons talk about the sun, how it moves in, and all the rises in the east and do all things are happening to your body at those particular times, and we are so oblivious to those things that are happening to your body. And so, like you said, those 2 hour cycles, this thing is open to be tuned and tuned up, in this time. Those are the things that we have lost so dearly. And I want to connect that to, I remember a book. Yeah, I was looking for it today. I might have the title wrong, but I know it's close to it. The 12 Sauce of Salvation, something like that.
Yeah.
You know, and some of the healers was using that as a tool too to deal with the body as it, during time frames when people were born, that you might be prone or receptive to certain different weaknesses during, depending on the time frame that you were born and how all that cosmic energy and those positioning. Because if it's all about energy, okay, so if the earth is situated in a certain different position as an alignment with the planets, this it's going to cause a different kind of energy to take place. See, and we just lost all of that, don't understand it. And in closing, an example of that, me and Dr. Brown used to talk about on the show all the time. You can see up in this northern hemisphere when a lot of the energy is taken away from the planet, meaning that the leaves fall off the trees and this, that, and the other. So the energy is in the roots of the plants at this particular time, and us in this northern hemisphere should be eating root vegetables at that particular time. So, get your expound on that just a
Okay,
little bit, Doc.
if you're gonna eat the roots and the energy going to the roots, you have to go to your roots.
Okay.
You have to go in.
Hmm.
You see,
Uh
it's
huh.
telling you, right? And what the class that I'm doing, these 5 classes called energetics, the science of attunement.
Hmm.
These things are happening without your knowledge, like you said. The class will teach you about when and how and what to do.
Sounds
So,
good.
are you going to put that ad up
Yeah,
on your
yeah. We
thing?
want
You
you want to
can.
talk about that now? Okay, y'all bear with me now. We're gonna make this. We're gonna make this happen. Okay. Uh
Well,
huh.
you got it. You got it. It's a beautiful thing to know that you can get your spirit, your mind, your emotions, and your body in harmony with what's going on around you, the larger cosmos. Because um, much of what we do is not about the cosmos. It's not even about that at all.
Uh
It's
huh.
about how everything is all together, and we get separated, and we think we're the little separations of this sea of consciousness, cosmic consciousness. We think we're something different, but we're the living proof and example of this.
All right. I think we're here, Doc.
All right, there you go. There you go. Yes, that's
Yeah.
me.
Online classes, understanding your energetic anatomy and
Yes,
using the solar calendar for mind body balance.
there you
My
go.
brother.
Yes.
And that's what we was kind of touching on a little bit today, Doc.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
again, he says it's a 5 week course.
Yes. On Fridays at 8 p.m. for 5 weeks, starting this Friday.
Okay.
The classes
Uh,
are free. It's or the classes like workshops, because it's going to be. I'm doing on. It's going to be on Google Chat or Google Meet. Sorry, Google Meet. And if it says Google Zoom, it means it should be Google Meet. And
mhm.
a lot of questions. It's going to be hour, so it starts at 8, ends at 9 exactly. There's going to be a lot of questions, so we may have to um, do another series. Um, but I just want to say one thing. What happens to a lot of African people, and not just really Africans, Americans, they make us think that we're dumb. We can't understand all of these ideas and concepts, and so we get, we are afraid that take the step. I mean, this stuff is easily accessible. You just have to slow down and just get a basic core understanding, and don't allow them to get in your head with nonsense. I
Mhm.
mean, we spend all this time now talking about what Trump and what
Mhm.
Trump is doing and the political system. We're fighting like crazy, and you
Yeah.
know, and
Hey,
that
hey,
ain't gonna
Doc.
help us.
Hey, Doc. Real quick here, I wanna
Yeah.
before I take this down, so they can go and register at Dumisani at liferx.us.
No, 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 no. You're gonna go online class at liferx.us. That's what it should say on there, right?
Oh, it's okay.
Okay.
Online class.
Yeah, at liferx.us.
Okay, at
Okay.
liferx.us. Okay,
So
you
you can
guys
get
can.
on the Google Meet.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
All righty, all
All right.
righty.
All right. Thank you, my brother.
Okay, hold on, let me get back to you.
Okay.
Okay. Uh-oh, my camera out. Oh, give me a second. All right, there we go.
There we
I'm back.
go.
I maneuvered. I made it back.
You're getting it. You becoming the master here.
Absolutely. Yeah,
All
so
right.
that's a beautiful thing. And Doc, man, I really learned something, and I hope all our travelers did too on this journey. Really learned something about the body, and I felt it always in my heart, Doc, that and through my learning and opening myself up and trying to listen and being a student to you, guys like you and Dr. Brown, Wayne, and all, and knew and just felt that something was wrong. We're not, because Doc had to come on and say, he wasn't curing anything but infections. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we
I
tend,
got it.
I mean, we okay with that.
Yeah.
And the way you broke down, how you go about the dosage and them calibrating the dosage, the amount of dosage that that you should have, and when I was talking to Dr. T. Owens Moore, when we was talking about melanin and how what melanin cells do to you, and then by absorbing and tracking energy, we need to have a conversation when I'm taking radiation with the calibration of those particular machines.
Hmm.
Nobody in school sit down and tell us about this blackness and what this blackness is about. You know.
Well, it's interesting. I know you're gonna close up, but everybody's black.
Hmm.
Okay. You can't be on this planet if you're not black. But it's just degree of black. That's it. Okay. And everybody has black in their body. Otherwise, they would not. Black is the antioxidant, meaning that it makes life happen.
Hmm.
Okay. And
Hmm.
so everybody got it. It may be minuscule in some people, and it may be maximum in some others, but it is the life. Everybody has it.
Hmm.
It's just the amounts.
Right.
That's all.
Absolutely.
And to make a system of power and around something as dumb as melanin,
Skin
that
color.
shows you. I mean, this is it's the hype of lunacy.
It is, and I think most of us pay because black folks have been and people of color been spiritual so long, and I think we pay so much attention to it because so much effort has been made to make us feel less of and less than. So we concentrate a lot of the efforts and knowing something positive about bringing out anything that's positive about us. You know what I mean? But if things was on an even plane, it wouldn't make no difference. Hey, white person, black person, we'd be going on about our way
Listen,
doing what it is.
if I'm gonna control you, I'm gonna give you two choices. Either take this one or that one. Either
That's
you're
still
white or you're
control.
black.
Okay. Absolutely, absolutely.
Anyway,
Well,
let me go, brother.
my brother, for sure that you, Dr. Brown, and we might even reach out to old brother Menieres one day,
Yeah.
getting you guys to come back up and on and impart us with some good. I'd like to have both of you guys on at the same
Okay.
time so we could
Well,
get this
yeah,
get the field going.
Dr. Brown and I, we love it. It's like it's my brother. We just,
Absolutely, man.
these men who dedicated their lives to the healing arts. I mean, there's
Right,
in one way I see it, there's no higher calling because you called to help people,
right, right. Well,
and
Doctor, go ahead. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
So this is a divinely inspired job.
Absolutely, and you got to love your people, and you got to be really hungry for the information and to impart it.
Yes.
Like you say,
Yes.
like they say, with power and information, you have a responsibility. What good is it if you take it with you if you don't share
Yes.
it?
Yes.
You're gonna be held accountable. So before we leave again, if they happen to miss, if we don't get this part up, which I probably will, but
Yeah.
they'll probably only have a day or so
Right.
to
That's
we
okay. That's okay.
somebody
They
miss it,
can.
but every Friday
Yeah. If they
going
miss the
forward.
first one and they go online, they will catch them up. I'm not gonna go past after the second one. I'm not gonna add any more people. The
Okay,
first one's
okay,
gonna be It's more introduction, uh, and they can catch up on after the first one.
I see.
But after that, it's going to be a little
Give
woolly.
give us the numbers and everything again.
Okay, so it's the online class at liferx.us,
Okay.
and it's a
Okay.
Friday at 8 p.m. and it's going to be on Google Meet, which
Google.
is that's no it's going to begin October the 21st, Friday at 8 p.m. and every Friday thereafter for 5 Fridays, and it will end on November the 18th.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's an hour-long um, class,
Okay.
and it's
Doctor,
free. I mean, if you want to donate, there's some donations just to, there are people who are helping me uh, make this happen, but I'm not interested in me. I'm not interested, but they, I told them that, yes, we can have donations and for your time and effort, yes, you know, but as far as I'm concerned, if you can't, if you don't want to pay, there's no barrier to you participating.
mm-hmm. Okay, my brother. I
Okay.
appreciate you. You
Okay.
know, most much love to you, my brother, and definitely we're gonna have you back.
Okay.
On the journey, so you can help us continue on the journey for information, wealth, knowledge, and the whole shebang. All right, my brother.
Okay. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity again to, you know, have something to say. And
Appreciate you, brother.
okay. Thank you.
Peace and blessings.
Okay. Peace.
Mhm. Yes, again, I'd like to thank you, travelers, for going on this journey again with me. If you like this video, subscribe and like it, and definitely hit the notification button. Share it with other folks that you think that may need this information, because I think he dropped some real jewels about health, nutrition, and a different outlook and a different approach to healing and medicine. We have to return back. We have to return back to our way of doing things, and our way of looking at the body and our position and our relationship to the animal kingdom and the plant kingdom. These folks been doing this for thousands of years, like he stated. These kids are new on the block. They new on the block. And look at the degradation. Look at where we at right now. I'm in the watching business as far as uh, my job is concerned. Watching people look, and I see the hurt that we are carrying around all the time. With our health. Look, that's not the way it was meant to be. Where we 70, 80, and it's just most of us just it's almost over at that point. And the body is a magnificent organism. It's meant to live much longer than that, in better condition. So yeah, we've been bombarded with all these toxins, and this system just keep on bringing more and more toxic issues to us, and we have to take this into our own hands. So, and with the guys that I bring on, we're gonna be talking about health. We're gonna be talking about diet. We're gonna be talking about consciousness and history, and wrapping it all up into a neat package, because they all related. We talk about consciousness. We talk about diet. We talk about health. We talk about spiritual system. That's all together. It's all relative to each other. So we're gonna keep having conversations like this, and I want you guys to stay with me on this journey. You know, stay with me on this journey, and I'm sure you will get something out of it. So subscribe. Let's get our subscriptions up. If that's what you want to do, but that's the name of the game here. We're on YouTube, so subscribe to us and hit the notification and share this information. So with that being said, we're going to end this broadcast, and until next time, thank you, travelers, for traveling on the journey with Antonio.